not do so good.
Hey, watch it.
Burying a son. Well, I'm not referring to Larry.
Well,
but I do know you said that you couldn't wait till he moved out of the house. Didn't they say that? You couldn't wait till you got out of the house?
She meant it. She meant it.
Yeah, this is not.
She couldn't wait for me to get out.
Right.
But that's why they call her St Rita. She raised me.
Well, you were always a unique and individual with particular appetites for things, but here you are. You know what I mean? Cast into this conflict, representing our Lord in a way that's important of Our Lady of America. And who would have thought of it? I mean, nothing you would have. Really, I mean, you were setting yourself up for this. It was sort of came out of, you said, "Will you show me something, and I'll do it." And I did show you, and you did it.
With those kids, you can love them forever, but you don't always like them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I talked about. One of the recent podcasts was with the prodigal son situation and dealing with people that we don't agree with right now on these political spectrums and all like that. You got to treat them like the prodigal son. Be excited when you see them. But the first words out of the prodigal son to his father was, "Father, I've sinned against you." Mm-hmm. The father didn't care. His son was back.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
He was happy that the kid was alive. Okay. And so he was celebrating that.
Right.
And the kid's saying, "But Dad," he says, "that's all right. We're going to party." He says, "You'll work tomorrow, but you're going to party today. All right. My son is home." And
well, we hope that for all of our children is that they, whatever they may do or whatever they're involved in, we continue to pray that they, get out of it and come back and come along.
And that's what we hope happens with people that are tangled up in these crazy notions and thought streams that are going on that have them thinking about these notions about, the evil that's going on, to allow for something evil to have such a prized, place in their life.
Right.
Why they have so much esteem for somebody to go against their nature and change their sexual, physical.
No, absolutely.
For the sake of making them feel better. They go against God when they do that, and they're not loving themselves as God created them. And then they're really not going to love themselves either afterward.
No. Right.
This has been proven.
Right. Well, we hope that God continues to... I do know that he looks at families and lineage, and some of them are more wayward and away from faith. But he also looks at like the great-grandparents and grandparents and mom and dad, and those that invested and that love God, and on the wings often of those that have sacrificed and so on and so forth, that God does look at, divine economy and the love that he has for the ones that are, the prodigal son or the prodigal daughter. So many of these people, and it's hard to understand it, but God does invite us into that passion and death and resurrection. And I think that many souls will come along as a result of that economy, and that God will have mercy on those that we love that we think are completely, out of whack. But
now, when you say economy, are you talking about like this exchange that's going on between?
It's all I know is in Scripture they talk about. Like I got a friend that he just died, and he was a pastor for 45, 55 years, and he was in. His daughter is getting her dissertation in this transgender stuff. Mm-hmm. She was brought up with the faith as a Protestant girl, but almost as though she's rebelling against what she's been taught. Mm-hmm. And so, is she going to come to a conscious understanding and coming back to God, or will some of the suffering that her father has endured in being in a wheelchair and cathing himself and coming down with infections over 40 years, and then dying an extremely painful death, and reaching out to God, and here's a man that loved God, continued to love God, put himself on the line. He wasn't perfect himself, but he was steadfast in what he did. Will God look at who he loves, his daughter that's completely out of whack, and will there be mercy for her?
Well, there's these, we talked about in the previous podcast about, these mental illnesses that are going on, how they manifest themselves. And so many of them end up in a way that one of these afflicted people is going to try to do whatever it is that they feel empowers them, because they don't feel like they're in control.
I think you're right on that, absolutely.
And so they take this path,
Right.
which they feel they're
in control.
prescribing themselves.
Yes.
I'm in control.
I think you're right. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely
And so
right.
this gives them a path of control
Yes, that
out
they
of
never
this
felt they
empower
had. Yeah.
that they don't feel like they have otherwise.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail
And
on
somebody comes along and enables them and says, "You're so good, honey."
it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then shines and talks at all these, symposiums and going to write the, that's the last thing you want on your report card. But,
Getting a degree in it.
right. Yeah, like a doctoral degree. So,
A 3-year-old can look at it and say,
yes.
"That's a man."
That's right. Right. That's right. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Probably grew up with the sense of that she didn't have any power. And whatever it was, the religion was
Probably rebelling against her
technical.
father.
Yeah.
right? And so she's going to take control.
Absolutely, Larry. Yep.
And she's going to take control, not over her body, but other people's bodies.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting. Yes, thank you.
Okay, it's like the argument. Have you ever seen any of those things, Mom, when they would ask these protesters if they would take in an illegal immigrant and let him live in their home? And they always say no. I don't have room, or I can't do that, or they always say, "Oh, you got to let them all in." Well, they need a house to sit. Could they live with you? Oh no, I don't have any room. I'd have to ask my parents. I don't think they'll go for that. And they're always ready to give it away when they don't have to. It doesn't have to come out of them.
Participate,
Right.
Yeah.
And so you got a lot of these people who are trying to fight for this transgendering, but they would never do it to themselves. But I'll do it to you because I love you that much.
Right. That's right. Right. Yeah. It's really twisted, and that dark thinking, that flood of evil that comes in, and
This is the flood of evil that we're talking about. So, we had been talking earlier, Mom, about Babylon, and
About what?
about Babylon. Remember where the Tower of Babel was in the Bible?
Yeah, okay.
Babylon, the evil place. And we were talking about how they were calling for Babylon the Great. And Babylon the Great is evil being pushed all over the globe right now. And this is where Babylon is not a place, but it's everything. And it's a feeling that's taking over the world right now. And that's kind of what we're in right now. If you look at the confluence of Revelation, these other mystical prophecies and things like that, that we're kind of in that phase right now. And so many people are intoxicated by it, and they want more of it.
right.
And others are just so oppressed and made ill by it.
Absolutely.
That's the two extremes we got right now. Some people see it as an intoxicating gesture, and other people see it as so repulsive they don't want anything to do with it.
Why one does and one doesn't?
Because some get it and some don't.
Yeah, well, it's a matter of faith. Is it a matter of knowing God? Is
Yes.
it a matter of really searching for the truth?
Yes.
Okay.
All the above.
Well, Rita, speaking of the truth, we go next to finding Jesus in the temple, and this was the disappearing act that Larry referred to. What do you remember about our Lord going into the temple in the readings of the mystical city? Did anything stand out for you?
When he was 12?
Yeah. When he left the caravan and they couldn't find him, they had to double back. They looked everywhere but the temple.
And he stayed in the town, and he spent 3 days walking through the town and asking for alms for the poor.
That's right.
And if they gave him anything or were receptive, he would do favors for them.
Before he went to the temple,
He's trying to
Before
make
he
money.
went to the temple. He and the doctor, he didn't spend all that time in the temple.
Good mind.
He was going around. Yeah. The
Oh, very
town.
good, Rita. Yeah, I forgot that part. You're right. His main mission was
Yeah.
talking to the people and evangelizing the people,
He
in the
was always
disguise of God
asking
as
for
a
the poor.
12-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he wanted to
Right.
keep the widows and the orphans from turning to, prostitution. That's why I always
Yeah.
told Judas, just keep enough to get us to the next town, give the rest to the widows and the orphans.
So they
Yeah.
didn't have to go into sin.
Right.
Yeah.
And God bless.
Yeah.
So do you remember when he was in the temple with the big Mickey Mucks, the priests and the
Pharisees.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of that storyline?
They didn't say anything about what he was teaching them, but they were all listening to him. This kid, 12 years old, was talking, and they were amazed at him.
Yeah, the one
And
part.
he's down.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead, Rita.
Yeah, yeah,
The one part I remember in terms of the amazement is, of course, he's
Yeah.
12 years old, so they're not going to attack him. But he was so articulate in talking about the coming of the Messiah. And then he
Yeah.
says, oh, but I see here, if you read this suggests that the Messiah is coming twice. And they're looking at this guy. What a prodigy, right? Because he's going through old scripture. He says, oh, this looks like the Messiah's not coming once, he's coming twice. And they said they were astounded by it because it made sense. But then they said they didn't recognize him
Mm.
as the Messiah when
No,
it was
no,
evident that this
no.
kid is on fire
Well, they're looking for the blazing chariot of fire to come out of the sky.
and squash the Romans.
Well, they're looking for the display.
the big deal.
The
right.
big show.
Yeah, you're right. The shoe.
Oh, my God, is it going to come in a cave and, naked?
That's exactly what Lucifer thought. How could he come as a schmuck?
Right.
But you're right. And the rest of them were going, where's the chariot? The fire?
So what he did was he displayed their hubris, without calling them out. But they all displayed this hubris. And the devil did too. And that's his biggest weakness.
Right. Yeah, very interesting.
And the same thing with these leaders, in the church. And unfortunately, they haven't lost that particular ego issue.
Right. It's worse.
Well, it's different. I don't know if it was worse. I don't know what it was like back then.
Well, that's my opinion.
But it's very prolific and it's bigger now than it had been.
And we're also in Revelation.
Right.
So,
And whether or not they will admit to that
well,
and try to understand that. But a lot of times, they always say, my God can do anything. Yes, he can. But also you have to realize that the scripture has been given, the prophecies have been made, and these prophecies weren't made lightly.
no.
And anyone who says that they enjoy being a prophet or knowing about these things is lying.
Right. Yeah, they're the ones that pick up
Or they're trying to sell a book.
or sell a book. They're not right. Fake prophets.
Right.
Yeah. Anything to sell a book. That's the one thing with that Jonathan Cahn. He's always selling books and doesn't acknowledge the Blessed Mother. Everything is reinterpreted as, let's go back to the old days, the Jews. It ain't that. Here's where the deposit of faith is. I'm not talking about the people running the organization. The deposit of faith is, according to the mystical city of God, is in the Roman Catholic Church. That's where it resides. That's where he put it. Now, setting that aside, it's like anything else. You got good and you got bad. You got some of them that are willing to speak up and suffer, some of them willing to go along and get along. And we've talked about this, but Jesus in the temple was very eloquent in presenting God's case. After all, he was God or is God. And they were astounded by him. In scriptures, they said, this prodigy, this child. But it didn't go any further than that. They finally tracked him down, I think, his mother and father. And do you remember what that exchange was when they found Jesus in the temple, Rita?
They what?
Do you remember when St. Joseph and Mother Mary found Jesus in the temple, what the dialogue was between them?
He said, why are you doing this to us?
Like any mother and father, yeah.
It was about them. What are you doing to me? What?
It's true.
Look what you're doing to your mother. Look at this.
Sure they were. And they said, don't ever do this again. And he consented, I guess. You know, he was obedient.
What were you saying, Mom?
He was gone for 3 days, and they looked for him for 3 days.
Yeah.
And
How do you lose God?
We lost God.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
God asked us to do one thing, and we couldn't do that. What are we doing? Oh, my gosh.
Think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
opened my
We lost God.
Right. That's right. So now do we talk to him?
So for 3 days, I wonder if God's okay. How's God? I don't know. You know, it's like, what is going through these parents' heads?
It's got to be that.
They had to be like, we really
They
messed
know he was
up.
he's just a little boy. He's human, but he suspends a lot of this God stuff. So they're thinking our son's subjected to whatever might be out there.
Yeah, but they were so comfortable enough in the caravan, they left him to go along with other people. They didn't think there'd be any issue.
Well, they thought somebody had
Well, they were that
right.
comfortable with
He's
their son.
Joseph. Joseph thought he was with Mary, or he's
Right.
surrounded by his friends or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
They were comforted in that, but then they realized, wait a minute. We've had dinner. Where's the kid?
Oh, sure.
Well, you were supposed to watch him. I was watching him over there.
No. Well, they listen. They showed a thing on one of the YouTubes or something where there's a man holding his child's hand, and he's in an airport and he's looking around, and the couple people are setting him up, and so one guy asks him a question, and the man temporarily lets go of the child's hand, and while he's looking this way, the guy behind him grabs the kid
And is gone.
and is gone. And they say within seconds in an airport, he's gone. You don't know where he is. I mean, there's so many people coming and going. But if you can imagine our St. Joseph mother losing Jesus, I mean, who took him? Did somebody take him? You know, is this part of his passion? Is this something that...
Mm-hmm. Did you know about this? I didn't know about it. What? Well,
Yeah, because he's subjected to the elements. He shivered. You know what I mean? And he was suspending.
he was human,
He was human, and we lost him.
and he was a kid with a graduated sense of purpose. Okay, let's put it that way. I mean, he was above and beyond your normal 12-year-old. Okay, but
if you're in charge of it as the mother and the father.
Oh yeah, well,
He was God, and he's not.
Forget that he's the son of God. Okay, I mean, but he's your kid.
That's right. Sure. St. Joseph used to hold him and love him, and
I could just imagine how awful they felt. And then after the kid says, "Well, didn't you know I needed to be about my father's business?" Well, not yet.
Yeah.
You're 12
Well,
years old.
he's obviously preparing them for these things in the future. I mean, there's a lesson to be learned, but
Well, Jesus is also an opportunist.
in what way?
He had an opportunity, so he jumped on it.
He did it. Yeah. Right.
He saw, hey, there's people back here who are suffering.
I'm going to do it. Yeah.
I was just in this town. I saw these horrors, and I saw people being sold.
Got to do something
for
about
this,
it,
that,
right,
and the other.
yeah.
This is terrible. I got to do something.
And he did.
And he did.
Yeah.
So this is why I say, like with Our Lady of America and these other things, this isn't a call for prayers and stuff like this. This is a call to action.
Sure it is. Right. Let's start doing it.
This is what your purity is about. It's nice that you want to involve yourself in a series of prayers and recommitments.
No, that's okay. But
I need your actions.
Without action.
You got to work.
That's right.
I need these. These are the hands of God.
Right. Right.
And we all have them.
Yep.
I'm holding my hands up now, Mom. Our hands are what's called on to do the work of God.
Well, he does. He asks us to participate in the process of redemption, and to spread the word, and to also through action, through kindness, through charity, and to where we can and how we can to intervene in people's lives and spreading the good word. And also, they did give. They gave money to the poor. They gave money to the church. I don't so much give so much money to the church anymore, but I do spend a lot of money directly to other things that are important, and that the church can survive on its own financial. I spent a lot of money with kids and all the rest of it in the church.
Well, it's
But
not
not anymore. I don't, I got a couple bucks.
it's not a contest. It's a commitment, and it's a sourcing again and again of your free will. Will you? God is always asking, will you? And it's okay to say no sometimes, but you don't want to do it too often.
Right. Yeah.
Not now. But I'll try to get to it, and many times that'll work on your conscience. You end up coming back and doing it when the time allows it. Or
Yeah,
the
that's
circumstances
right.
allow
It has to be done in the right.
But that's what happens with a person of, a thinking person with a conscience. So, did you ever have any issues, Mom, with bouts of conscience? There was one story that you had told me, and I think this would be a good lead into it. There was a time you were at one of the nursing facilities, and you took a different route to your job or whatever, or the floor you're supposed to be working on, and you end up going past these two recovering soldiers, and one of them had been a burn victim, and he'd lost, his nose and other features on his face.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And tell us that story, what happened.
I was with somebody else, and we were just passing in the hall there, and these two guys were talking.
And you were in like a big hospital facility, and you were walking through like the rehab area. Is that right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right. And we were just kind of talking and flirting with each other, and I did something. Told this one guy something, and he thanked me. He said, "Well, what can I do for you now?" And he had a picture of a good-looking guy on his bedside table there. And I said, "You can introduce me to this guy." And he said, "Oh, that was me before my accident."
Jeez.
And before that, he was telling us how he was going to give the nurses a treat the next day and wear his nose. So he was in some kind of a fire where he got his face burned off. And so they gave him an artificial nose
Wow.
to wear. And I felt like 2 cents after I said that.
Well, you
But then
didn't mean it.
But then I thought that was the best thing I could have said, because then he knew what he really looked like before.
Poor man.
He was a good-looking guy, yeah. So I appealed to him.
Right, and
before.
I think that in that moment, that probably was the best thing he could, because he needed to stretch his wings a little bit
Right,
post-accident. He had to know that he still had value and was still
right.
worthwhile,
Right.
but it was inside him, and he was never going to see St Rita again. But
Right,
as a
right.
ship passing in the night, she signaled to him that, hey,
He's a
that's an attractive guy.
Man, right.
All right.
Yeah.
And he just needed to know that, and then let other people know that this is who I was, this is who I am now.
Yeah.
I'm still the same
Yeah.
guy, I just don't look the same. And then once he's got those sort of relationship or factual relationships all figured out, then he's on the path to healing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What a cross. I used to work on the burn unit at St. Joe, and I saw some of the terrible burns and the agony they went through in doing skin grafts, and the ones that would take and wouldn't take, and the infections and stuff. But really, to have the burning on the face with the nose, I can't imagine what the man was going through. But I agree with your son. She's acknowledging, this man that's on the table next to him happens to be himself. So he's got to live with the deformity in how people, but he he did once look like that, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how some of these people get through. I thank God.
Right,
I thank
yeah,
God
yeah,
every day that bypasses, you know, my family. It's terrible, and the suffering is terrible, and he lives with that disfiguration. Did you ever see the man after that one encounter?
Never saw him again. No, no. I was just passing by.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah.
But it was terribly honest reactions.
Oh no, I think it was appropriate. It's a picture of somebody that's handsome, and she's acknowledging. Happened to be the guy
Right. But he had to learn to use that as his tool
to get out of where he's at. Yeah.
and to meet chicks. And
Yeah.
and women can better adapt to knowing that that's you inside. I think women are better at leaving the exterior alone than men are.
Okay.
Because women are more about the emotions, men are more about the looks.
Yeah. I wonder if he ended up getting married, having children, and you
Yeah.
know, what his life was like after that.
I mean, I imagine, I don't know, and she doesn't know. But
Yeah. What hospital was this in?
I think it was in Fond du Lac when I was in nurses training.
Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.
When you were being
Yeah.
trained?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And these guys were war injured. They were back, you know,
Yeah.
convalescing and being made ready to go home,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Okay.
I was a dumbass kid.
So he
You were a dumbass kid.
So he was
Apparently pretty hot, so he was attracted too.
He was well enough. He was going to be discharged, or Rita, do you remember?
Was he what?
Was he along the recovery process of his burns that he was going to be soon discharged, or was that not determined?
I don't know anything about him.
Okay.
I was just passing by.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
He wasn't my patient. I didn't
Amazing.
know anything about him.
Yeah.
I was flirting with him. He was flirting with me.
So they're just young people flirting with each other in the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was flirting with you.
Making us a joke.
Oh, that's
yeah.
good. No, that's good though. You're right. You caught it.
Right.
He needed that.
He was trying to see if he could talk to and get the attention of a pretty girl.
There you go. Yeah, you're right on that. You're right about it.
And then what she did was probably the best validation he needed at that time.
That he was on the way.
God puts us in these places
For a reason.
and sometimes just for an instance.
Right. Yeah.